From the Daily Mail, ladies and gentlemen, Anheuser-Busch executives hold closed-door meeting with beer distributors and told them any marketing will be heavily screened before it goes public. Bosses held the closed-door meeting in D.C. this week where they laid out plans going forward. They say that Benj Steinman, editor of Beer Marketers Insight, said the spending on the brand fell off a cliff last year. But Anheuser-Busch execs are promising to rectify the situation. Bud Light sales have fallen dramatically since the Dylan Mulvaney boycott, which I think most of you know. Now, they're reporting this. Bud Light's pours plummet. Before partnering with Mulvaney, in April 1st, it dropped by 6% to the 15th. But in one supermarket chain, Bud Light sales plunged 50% at Stu Leonard's. So the tri-state area, this is Westchester County, Long Island, Connecticut, New Jersey. The reason why this story is so significant, ladies and gentlemen, is because this is a Democrat urban liberal stronghold seeing one of the biggest declines. So when we hear Kid Rock is, taking a gun and firing upon a bunch of Bud Lights, we're like, oh, well, yeah, he's Kid Rock, he's out in the country or whatever. He wants to be a cowboy baby or something. And, I don't know, is that what the song was?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, there you go.
With the top let back and the sunshine shining.
Boom, you get it. So, but we expect conservatives to do that. When we get news that they're having an emergency meeting in D.C. and in a major liberal area, Connecticut, New Jersey, Long Island, that beer sales are dropping 50% at a major regional supermarket, boycott's working.
Yeah.
Congratulations, everybody.
Stu Leonard's was known as the Disneyland of
I love Stu Leonard's.
It's the best thing of all time. Highly recommend going. The one that was near me had all of the fruits that sing and stuff like that. If you can't keep people in your store, if you can't get them to buy Bud Light under those circumstances, you're just not going to. There's no better grocery store.
Being from New England, originally and living in New Hampshire, the fact that I haven't heard of this chain.
It's not
what?
It's not as far. Connecticut is the only part of New England that has it. It doesn't get to Massachusetts. You're too far gone.
Okay.
But it is delightful, and I'm glad that their customers are apparently taking part in this boycott. I never would have guessed.
Check this out. They say on top of the marketing blitz, executives working for Bud Light will go through a more rigorous screening process, according to one Northeast-based beer distributor. Quote, there will be an improved screening process before any marketing hits the public. Executives will have to go through a more rigorous screening process. According to Beer Business Daily, wholesalers received a letter in which executives explained the entire situation, including, quote, this was one single can given to one social media influencer. This can was not made for production or sale to the general public. They are trying to trick people. Mm-hmm. The issue wasn't that one can was made. The issue was Dylan Mulvaney promoting the beer in general.
Yeah. We have an influencer in our midst, Influencers make money off of the post, right? It's not that we have to have his face on every single beer can. It's the fact that he is getting paid to promote it, that you guys thought this was worth the money.
A lot of money.
And worth access to his audience. I think that's the biggest thing.
They're trying so hard to act like nothing's happening. But there was that video. I don't know if we talked about it last night, but this guy in Las Vegas, he's a Las Vegas vlogger. It's just what he does. He's walking into stores and being like, I wonder if this is a thing. And then he's like, oh, wow, no one's buying Bud Light.
I was questioning whether or not this would have impact. And when it initially started, I was a little apprehensive about the idea. I thought that it would look like people were attacking Dylan, and it has turned into what looks like the most effective boycott the right has seen in a long, long time. I can't remember the last time that there's been a boycott of something from the right that has been this effective.
Well, and it's obvious that people are upset with the brand.
Yeah.
And they're really focusing on the brand and not the person.
Which is good, because then it doesn't seem like you're bullying, right?
And it was kind of, they were talking about Dylan the first 2 days, which is reasonable because,
sure,
bringing him in and all that. But it turned into the brand, which I think that's the correct approach, because they're the ones that made the decision. They're the ones that make the product. They're the people that people want to buy the product from. Is it now the actual cans or bottles in the stores? It was like a limited run that actually had Dylan's face on them.
From what I remember, and Phil can correct me here, they only made this one can to celebrate 365 days of Girlhood, to mark the 1 year point of Dylan's whole
Were those
spiel.
In stores, or you have to order them?
No, you couldn't get them.
Literally, they just made a custom thing for him.
Gotcha.
But that wasn't the issue.
Right.
Because the video I saw first was Dylan with a bunch of beers saying, I don't even know what March Madness is. Let's all drink beer. And then cracking open beer. It had nothing to do with any kind of promotional can or anything like that. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, screw Bud Light.
And
Right.
it's tagged with the like hashtag Bud Light partner or something like that. Like it's denoted as a form of advertising. I think what the strangest part of it, like you're right. I'm actually glad that there's not a specific targeting of Dylan Mulvaney, because Dylan Mulvaney is doing exactly what Dylan Mulvaney has always done. And you can have separate criticism of that. But Anheuser-Busch chose to partner with him. And if you put people in positions of power in your company who thought this was a good idea, I'm glad that you're starting to rethink this. I would like them to admit that they're just saying like, our rigorous screening process is we will hire some conservatives after years and years of hiring liberals.
Probably what they're talking about is, okay, we can't say we goofed up and they're all fired, because then the trans community will say we're horrible and bigoted and all of that. And
so
I mean, it's a lose-lose for them.
And not even that. Here's how I imagine the meeting goes down. They tell everybody, look, we understand your concern. We're going to have a meeting in D.C. Come meet. And they all walk in and there's a guy in a suit and he goes, listen, our customers are dumb as dumb gets. They are so stupid. So here's what we're going to do. We're not going to apologize. We're not going to say anything. We're going to completely ignore all of them and let it all blow over. That's what they're saying right now.
I mean, I don't know if it's quite that extreme, but they are definitely trying to be like, they're definitely trying to run away from it as opposed to addressing it and saying they're sorry. And I do think that apologizing is appropriate, because they're seeing a distinct reaction from their user base, from their customer base.
My severed trust. That's what brands are built on.
Many of you may be wondering, why is this so important? Why have we talked about this for 3 weeks now? Why are we leading the show with it right now? Because I want to make sure that every major corporation knows that when you engage in sponsorships and advertising like this, it will be so toxic to your company, you will be reeling from it.
There has been no it's been entirely no negative response from all of the, essentially since since June became Pride Month and has been celebrated so openly in the West and for probably the past 10 years or so. There's not been any kind of considerable pushback, and to see something, pushing back to say, hey, maybe we should moderate this a little bit, because at this point, the trans question like that is not built on solid arguments. There's a lot of questions. There are people that there's evidence that it's not a good idea to.
Well, Europe bans it.
Yeah, exactly. So
like they like multiple countries in Europe have said, nah, it's not working.
And
then there's even been several studies showing that it could increase suicidal ideation. Yeah. So let's make sure we're helping people.
100%.
But more to the point, my biggest concern is they effectively sponsored ElsaGate. Right? The easiest way for me to explain what went down with the Dylan Mulvaney sponsorship is a person exploited an algorithm to produce strange and off-putting content that was offensive to a lot of women, a lot of and men. And then Budweiser did no research, said, look, this person's got followers, it must be popular. But I do think it's a fantastic wake-up call as to what AI is doing to humans. Humans and what AI promotes, or I shouldn't say AI, but algorithms.
Sure.
It is incongruous. Just because someone has views does not mean they are popular. And this proves it. And I hope that if we keep the pressure on, then other corporations will start to realize, like, hey, look, just because that person's on TV doesn't mean they're popular.
You got to get the algorithms to really internalize retweets or not endorsements.
That's
to
right.
really get that idea to go to really.
I used to see. Sorry, I was gonna say. I've heard some YouTubers say, like, yeah, I don't care if you dislike my video. Any interaction actually helps. I don't know if that's still the case. I'm not that experienced with YouTube, but it
still is.
Yeah. So really, like, anyone commenting on Dylan's post being this is terrible is actually just still helping.
Do you get into the comments on T-Rex arm stuff still currently?
As much as I can, and primarily to learn more about our customers, not any other reason. We talked to some marketing folks last week who said, even if your company responds to every comment on, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, that greatly affects the algorithm. Even if you stop by and go thumbs up, you're adding to the comment count, and that makes a difference.
So when do you get the trans shooters?
Well,
out on the range?
yeah.
Wait a minute, that's a terrible phrase. Oh my God! Hold on.
I had no idea what you're talking
Back
about.
up! I apologize. I disavow.
I was like, whoa, Bill.
Whoa, disavow.
No, I posted a photo a year ago, and it was a gun on a trans flag, and I said something like trans rights are human rights, trans gun rights are human rights, and I got a false I believe it was a false DMCA takedown. Activists started, this is the weirdest thing. Leftists screen grabbed my post and then started insulting me over it. And I'm like, it's so weird that I said something they should agree with, and instead they attacked me and then filed a DMCA takedown to get the video, the photo deleted from my Twitter account. And then I'm just like, I don't know what these people think, because I'm like two-way all the way. I had a guy tweet at me saying, you think only white people should have guns. I'm like, what are you talking about? I think the Black Panther should be marching around with guns all day, every day. And they're like, oh, okay, base. Like, these people live in a wacky alternate dimension of what we here believe.
It is interesting, though. I did notice, and I could be wrong, an uptick in obviously when the shooting occurred a couple of weeks ago, there were lots of gun companies, and I also tweeted some things about, calling into question, should gun companies, and this is a big discussion happening right now, do we have to serve and service everyone who wants to own a gun, or can we go, hey, this is what we believe as a company, we're interested in selling to these types of people.
Absolutely.
We put our core values out there, and usually some people aren't going to agree with those, so they're not going to come and buy from us. And it did look like after the shooting in Tennessee occurred, the trans community was definitely much more interested in talking about guns and gun rights for themselves and getting involved in that whole thing. 'Cause I had all kinds of people just stopping by my Twitter, giving their opinion. And I feel like a year ago, probably when you posted that flag, that was not as much of a discussion. And they were probably more anti-gun.
No,
they're like, oh no, now we need to be pro-gun.
They were pro-gun.
Yeah.
It was a picture of a trans flag with a gun on it. And then there was people were posting pictures of trans people wearing patches and armbands of the trans flag with guns.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm all for it. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.